I do a very quick introduction because there are quite a lot of features integrated, but just to show you how you could get started. So if you're in the AWS console, you search for Bedrock, or you go to the recently visited ones if it's already there, to Bedrock. This is where all the LLM related services are existing. On the left side, you already see this overview, which you just saw, and you also see the foundation models. So it's all about large language foundation models. Not only the models built by AWS, but also open source models, which is quite nice. You get them on the same pay-per-token usage like you would get from the Amazon Titan models. So you don't need to pay for actually hosting the models. You can do this pay by token, which is quite useful if you're not having a large amount of requests and you just use them from time to time. It's very useful. You don't need to invest thousands of dollars upfront. Just use it as you go. So this is what we have with the foundation models, and we have chat. So for chat-like applications, there are different foundation models. And you have the UI where you can actually interact with the model. So if you're choosing the Amazon model, for example, now you have this chat-like interface where you can interact with the model. You can ask, what can I do in Berlin? And then you get an answer back. And you have the parameters similar like you're used to with the interfaces from OpenAI, for example, when you have a similar UI. You also have text models, or not the chat optimized models, the text optimized models where you have just one input and you get one output, compared to chat where you also have multiple conversation back and forth steps. But also the text models working similar, just a few more models available. You see we have also Llama 3 already, which is quite nice. And we also have image models to create images if you like to. Or Amazon image model, Titan model, but also Stability AI, which probably everyone knows who generates images on a web. Then there are additional features around large language models. We have guardrails to actually secure your applications to provide only answers which are not biased, or you want to avoid naming maybe a competitor with your answers. Happened already before. So this is where you can apply guardrails. There's also watermark detection for images. So if you're creating images with the Titan model, you can watermark them, making sure no one else is using them, or at least you can check if someone is using your image and you can have a proof, because this is all legally made safe. So if someone is using a watermark image, you can actually prove it in a legal way here. The next ones are knowledge base, where you can, if you have, for example, a knowledge base on your website where your customers can look up questions they might have, you can integrate this knowledge base and combine it with a large language model to actually get founded or grounded answers based on your questions from your knowledge base. So it reduces a lot the hallucinations issue we have with large language models, at least for unknown topics, which is usually the case for your company launch. And then we also have agents. I think there's also a question for agents later, so we can cover that as well. Agents we can do that in the detail later. Agents basically combine or orchestrate different services and make it a little bit more intelligent. Can do that in a more detailed session later. And there's also model evaluation, which is very useful if you're fine-tuning, which brings me to the next one. You can also fine-tune your models. You can fine-tune not only Amazon models, but also a few of the open source models which are available. This is also quite convenient. And then after the fine-tuning is done, you have model evaluation, actually making sure the model behaves in the way, in the same way like you expect the model to behave. And this is all automatic. You can also create human-based evaluations, which I like this human-based touch still with the large language models. Makes it very easy for you to evaluate your models. And the last one is provision throughput. This is useful. If you fine-tune your model, you need to use provision throughput. So you need to purchase those provisioned instances. But it's also useful depending how your request load is. It could be useful for you to buy a purchase commitment, because you get it at a cheaper price if you commit for 1 or 3 years. But this is depending on your request load. This could be beneficial, but not necessarily. So we need to do some calculations there. I think that's one thing. You have examples. So if you just get started, I think it's a good idea to check the examples. There are really nice ones for almost every use case you find at different companies. Have a look, like removing PII, or the very common use case. Have a look. If you just get started, you can open the playground and you get your prompt. So you know how it's used to get some ideas to actually get started here.
Yeah, I was just going to add something quickly, just because I have seen it with a couple of my customers. Provision throughput. don't enable it thinking that it's going to speed up the latency or like reduce the latency of the model. It is expensive. It is like $45 to $50 an hour to put. And so in a few hours, you can rack up a lot of money, and it's not going to speed up the latency of the model. That's just not going to be the case. This is only to ensure that you have a certain throughput, how many like tokens that the model can perform, just because that's going to be a dedicated resource to you rather than the base model. So I just wanted to make sure that people are aware of it. When you are testing and prototyping, like I really don't see the point of enabling provision throughput. This is only at later stages when you have a consistent, and like Sascha was mentioning, a consistent workload going through, and then there's some calculations to be able to see if it's worth it.
If you are using the foundation models without the provision throughput, you're not limited on the amount of requests. You are limited only of the amount of requests you can send per second, right? This is the only limit you have. If you're sending 200 requests, it's fine. It's as fast as if you're sending 2 requests. So there's no slowdown if you're sending a lot of requests. You just need to make sure you are within the quota limits.